Merry Christmas. This is a special Christmas or NixMyths episode just for you this holiday season.
All right, today we're going to tackle Santa Claus, and this is a huge spoiler alert. If the kids are around, get them out or put your headphones in. You do not want them hearing what we have to say about Santa Claus.
You also don't want them watching us tackle him because it may get violent.
That's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Again, this is not to shame anybody. This is not judgment on anyone's parenting.
Right.
We're just giving some perspective and some realness. And also, at the end of the episode, we're going to talk about a free resource that we have to help you have this discussion with your children or with anyone else that wants to know about Santa Claus and St. Nicholas.
Yes, and we mentioned last time that we do not want to be the fun suckers of Christmas. In fact, as Christians, we are the ones who are supposed to have the most fun. And so holiness, which is what this time is about, we want you to experience that while also having joy. And so we hope that that is conveyed through this episode.
Yeah, it will be. And so we're going to talk about distinctions that we have, that we make for our children between cultural traditions, traditions of the faith, and folklore. Yeah. And so let's jump into some of that originality. Yeah. So the question that we've been asked:
is Santa real?
No. Yes. I mean, it's a big maybe, might be, could be. No, the truth is that before you celebrate a tradition, it should be, sorry, my mouth was doing all sorts of stuff. It should be part of your process to understand where that tradition comes from. And so hopefully we can help you with that. So the origins of Santa Claus, a lot of you already know, is St. Nicholas. And St. Nicholas was a believer in Christ. He was orphaned. He came from a very wealthy family, and he actually went around the rest of his life serving the poor and helping the poor. He became a bishop in Turkey. Yeah. And so he was a very godly man that loved Jesus and that gave all of his wealth to help the poor.
Yeah, a little bit of nerdiness if you need it.
I didn't bring my glasses.
He was Greek Orthodox, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And he also, you may know the story of him having saved 3 young girls from being sold into slavery by providing a dowry for them. And that's where we get the stocking thing. Yeah. Is because it said that he would place gold in their stockings while they were hanging out to dry. And so there's a lot of things that we take from that we've absorbed and we've kind of evolved, but it comes from a really cool story of someone being benevolent and showing the love of Jesus.
Yeah, and so Saint Nicholas was called Sinterklaas in Dutch or Daneland, where the Dutch is
Danish place.
Germany. I don't know. Yeah. In Dutch, Sinterklaas is a shortening, like a nickname for Saint Nicholas.
A nickname, get it?
Yeah, a saint nickname.
Good. Yeah.
And then there's also the name Kris Kringle, right? If you ever watched not Jingle Bells, what's the name of that movie? The Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're giving all these names for Santa. A lot of people call Santa Claus Kris Kringle. Well, the truth is the name Kris Kringle actually comes from a German derivative of Christ child. And so even that name points back to Jesus. But what ended up happening is in the early 1800s, commercialism, right? Believe it or not, advertisers, shopping malls, they wanted to sell more things. And so they really started pushing the Santa Claus thing. They really started pushing this guy who delivered presents, and they started having mall Santa Clauses appear where you can sit on his lap. And then Coca-Cola got a hold of it, and that's where we get
they ran with it in the
image.
50s.
The image of Santa that we see now is all crafted by Coca-Cola. Yeah. And so this idea of Santa started at a really awesome place. Yeah. But it has since transformed into something completely different.
Yes. And as you know, America is this melting pot. We're known as that. So we have all these different cultures that have come from all over the world. And it's crazy. We were looking up some of the cultural versions of Santa. Get this. In Scandinavia, a jolly elf named Jultomten,
there you go,
was thought to deliver gifts in a sleigh drawn by goats.
Okay.
Now that's interesting.
Little goat sleigh. What up?
In Russia, it is believed that an elderly woman named Babushka purposely gave the wise men wrong directions to Bethlehem so they couldn't find Jesus, which is terrible. Later, she felt remorseful but could not find them to undo the damage. To this day, on January 5th, Babushka visits Russian children, leaving gifts at their bedside in the hope that one of them is the baby Jesus, and she'll be forgiven.
That's crazy.
There's so much in that's like, whoa.
That's toxic spirituality.
Yes,
right
it
there.
is.
That's teaching all sorts of wrong stuff.
Well, in Italy, a similar story is about a woman called La Befana, a kindly witch.
What?
Who rides a broomstick down the chimneys of Italian homes to deliver toys into the stockings of lucky children. So you see, we had this amalgamation, like you said, of all these cultures, and it makes sense that in America we were like, oh man, all these different cultures have an understanding of someone who does this thing on Christmas Eve or around Christmas time. Yeah. Let's use that to our advantage.
Yeah. And so then you also have the story of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, where we get a lot of our lore from, where it was actually an Episcopalian wasn't he an Episcopalian priest?
Yeah.
Something like that. He wrote this poem, and it was just supposed to be a fun poem. But a lot of the stuff that is in the culture now about who Santa is, taking from the elf, taking from the witch, or not the witch going down chimneys, and all this stuff. It's
Slay.
it's this weird pagan thing that really started as something great. And so we want to give you some practicality. How do you attack Saint Nicholas and Santa Claus? How do you
attack him?
I mean,
why would you attack him?
I wouldn't attack Saint Nicholas. You know why? Because Saint Nicholas was a gangster.
He was a beast.
He punched Arian in the face at the Council of Nicaea. Because
that's the story you need to tell your kids.
Every Christmas Eve, I think we should get to punch a heretic in the mouth, because just in honor of Saint Nicholas.
It's celebration of the patron saint of debunking heresies. I think we should all punch a heretic.
The NixMyth patron saint. But the truth is that everything about St. Nicholas points to Christ. And so when you really dive into the story of St. Nicholas, when you realize he was persecuted for his faith, he was imprisoned. When he got out of prison, he lived as a bishop, and he helped to form a lot of the doctrine that we understand in Orthodox Christianity. And he was a very godly man that loved Jesus and served Christ his whole life. And he gave and he served. He gave to children especially, and he gave to widows and orphans, and he did so because of his love of Jesus Christ.
That's good. And here's the thing. If you do give gifts in remembrance of Santa Claus, or you do follow the Santa Claus tradition that's commonly been practiced in America, here are some things you can do that you can start adopting to help make this more meaningful for your kids, not just in the sense of making the magic happen. If you have those gifts that you're giving as Santa Claus, sometimes making those the less costly gifts can be better. Because if you think about it, there are a lot of children who don't have the luxury of Santa Claus visiting their home. They don't have parents who can afford truly to buy into this legend. And so if you make those gifts less costly, less flashy, it might help to drive home that lesson about humility and meekness that St. Nicholas had. Also, make it known. Nick, you talked about a tradition with your grandparents.
Yes.
Where you knew that Santa Claus wasn't real.
Yes, Santa Claus was a role that we played at Christmas. That was the person who called out the presents when you're under the tree and you gave the presents. And it was also used when my parents or grandparents didn't want you to know who gave the gift. And so if they didn't want the notoriety, they would say, this gift's from Santa. And you would know that somebody in the family gave it to you, but it was one of those things where you just had to be accepting and receive the gift and not make it about who gave it to you.
Come on now.
And so this gift, this surprise gift that you had, it was the Santa Claus gift, but we understood that it wasn't from a jolly old fat elf. And the import of incorporating the true story of St. Nicholas into your family tradition this season, it does a lot, because I don't know if you remember the moment you found out Santa Claus wasn't real.
I do.
For me, it was a very empty, hollow, frustrating feeling. And it was something that I know a lot of people have emulated, that said, you've been lying to me this whole time. And we don't want to put that into our children, that one, they can't trust us. Two, that there's no fulfillment into their hopes. And so what we want to do is we want to build up a story that always delivers, a story about a person who believed in Jesus Christ, a story about generosity that's found only in our hope in Christ. And that story will never, ever disappoint.
Yeah. And think about it too. I know it's maybe being a little oversaved in this moment, but if we tell our children about this man who travels the world in one night and is able to fulfill every child's greatest desire in a material thing, and they find out that we were lying to them, that we were really telling them this just to give them false hope, what reason would they have to believe us about a man who chose willingly to go to the cross for their behalf, for the sins of the entire world?
Yes.
So let's think about just the connections that we're making in their little hearts and minds, and be intentional with the ones that we want to make. And here's another thing you can do. If you think about it, Santa Claus, St. Nicholas was very generous, right? We've talked about this. This was the tenet of his life. Maybe that gift that your family has from Santa Claus, in a sense, is a gift that your family gives to someone else.
Oh, that's good.
It's a gift that you collectively, you intentionally plan this throughout the year, and you're so careful with it. And then you as a family go and be the Santa Claus in someone else's life.
Yes.
If you try that, let us know. We want to hear about a story. If you're Santa Claus in somebody's life, we want to hear about it. Also, just to give you a few resources, Phil Vischer has an incredible resource. It's his website. If you just go to philvischer.com or Google Phil Vischer, but also the Veggie Tales on St. Nicholas is fire. So watch that with your kids. Good. It's really, really awesome. It's super funny. We also have a free printable for you. This is the resource we're going to give you on our website. If you go to www.NixMythPodcast.com, we have from Jay Rosenthal and C. Myers. They have given an incredible comparison of St. Nicholas and Santa Claus. And it's really cool for you to read through as a parent and then share that with your kids.
Yes. And so we hope that this has been helpful. This has been insightful. If you want to continue the conversation, please comment, please message us. Let us know how we can help you in this journey of making Christmas more meaningful and pointing everything back to Christ.
Yeah. We hope this has been a dose of real life.
No myth.
Be blessed.
Be blessed.